And here we are working on the Nude and Pastel, June 28th, 2017. I'm glad you guys are here on a very early, beautiful Wednesday morning here in sunny New Jersey. My friends overseas in Europe and Asia, and good evening, and so happy to come to you again from my studio working on this Nude and Pastel. So I just wanted to let everybody know, maybe invite you all into my studio and just see some of my ways that I work. So I really hope that you enjoy this live feed. And just, I have my coffee. See, that's always important. And let's get busy. So today I think I'm going to go ahead and continue working on the hair. I think that's very important for me to continue that from my last live feed the day before yesterday. So I'm just going to make sure, if anyone is out there, just let me know really quickly that you can hear my voice, that this thing is working, and that would be great. I would really appreciate that. But if you can't, don't worry about it. It's all good. Let's see. So I think I'm just going to check real quick. And yes, okay. So we are in business. Modern technology is great. I tell you, it's good being an artist who loves technology. We have to embrace this stuff. We really do. Okay, so looking at the hair here, I see that we have some really beautiful lights coming down right over here. So I'm going to get out my white pastel pencil, and I love using that. It's a great tool. So right over here, I'm going to go ahead and just sort of broken up. When light hits hair, it breaks up. It's not, you know, a big shape. Much like if you ever, when you're at a lake or an ocean, when the waves are kind of choppy, you'll see that the light sort of flickers. It's not one, and with that flickering light, gives it that real shimmering effect. The same effect is happening with hair. It's bouncing all over the place. Oh, drop my pencil. Okay. Now usually, with a rule of thumb, when there is a light, a highlight, there's usually a corresponding dark. That doesn't, not 100%, but look for that and you'll see it more than not. Then over here, there's this very definite sort of overlapping of one group of hair with another. What I like to do is see where that dark would actually stop, and that stops right about where her eyebrow is. So like I said, when there's a dark, when there's a light, there's a corresponding dark. The same is true with a dark accent. And remember, it's not the value that is strong as much as how strong the value is with what's next to it. Sort of the contrast makes it stronger. Okay. Same thing here. I'm going to adjust the easel. This lip thing here is sometimes a pain in the neck because it actually makes a shadow. I don't like that, so I make sure I combat that. And of course, we're sculpting her hair, right? That's crucial and key. Now the pastel I used for this dark accent right here is like a blue pastel pencil. It's too blue for me, so I'm just going to calm it down with a gray, get it to a color and value that is closer to my reference. Usually I'll show a reference of what I'm working on, but of course it's a nude, and for the modesty of the model, I definitely wouldn't show the photograph for obvious reasons. Like anything else, if you want to combat a cool, you come in with a warm color. If you want something to calm down a dark, you come in with a light. There we go. Now at the later stages of the game, I do like using pastel pencils. I think they're great. They give you a great amount of control. The one that I use, I'm going to do a video on the pastel pencils I use. Actually, I think when this video is going to be online, I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description when you do see this online later today. They're called Pitt Pastel by Faber-Castell. Great company. They've always been very good to me, and these are the best. Faber-Castell has a corresponding line of pastels, and it's called Pastel Carre, and it actually has a line of pastels. These are very hard pastels. These are what I use to go with the initial color, because with pastel you want to work from hard to soft, right? You want to go from your hardest pastel to your softest to make sure you don't overload the surface too early. So, and it corresponds with the color of the pastel pencil, so it's really wonderful the way they did that. Very rich in pigments, pigment load, and they're very light. They're light fast, so your paintings are not going to fade, and they're very affordable, but affordable in the sense that you're still getting amazing quality. I've been using their pastel line with the pastel pencils and the Pastel Carre probably for about, I would say, at least 15 years now. Really love them. Less expensive does not mean always that they're not as good. Still don't like how blue that looks. Let me see. Sometimes when you put the wrong temperature color, it could be the right value, the right shape, but it was the wrong temperature. Example meaning a cooler, a bluer color as opposed to a warmer, more yellow ochreish color, then you have to spend time fighting it like I'm doing now. But it's okay to adjust, no problem. Might take a little while longer, but just try and get it right, that's all. So I'm looking here and I'm seeing it's a little bit of a harder edge. So you want to watch your edges too. And I'm going to put a link in the description field for my video on YouTube on edges. Edges are an advanced principle in painting realistically, but I like to teach it early going, very early in the game. Why hold back? I mean, I know principles of light and color and value, shadow, proportion, those are all important too, but without good edge work, meaning the knowledge of how edges work, the student's going to have a frustrating time wondering why their work isn't looking realistic or as realistic as it could. Just like my my live view I did this earlier this week on the drawing, the portrait drawing of Natalie Portman, working on the hair is more about shapes, large shapes first, and then getting into the variations thereafter. Now I'm just going to very quickly check and see if anyone is there. Let's see, I'm just going to type a quick hello. Okay, so I started the chat. I said hello, and if you're out there, just a quick hello would be great to interact with you. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer them straight away. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can go back to our white pastel. Let's just try and get some of that shimmering. There we go. Love it. A lot of times I find it's the spaces in between the lights that are important. Don't cover everything. There we go. There, I'm sort of liking that very much. Now, one thing when I notice when doing portraits, especially portraits of women, is it's important to keep subtlety. Try not to get too harsh. Actually, try and get as subtle as possible, maybe even more subtle than you actually see it. Makes for a better portrait. Plus, if you have a commission, you don't want to make the woman looking harsh. They're not going to be very happy. So while I'm here, I like jumping around, as you can tell. And so what I'm doing now is I'm just jumping around here. I see the light on the bridge of her nose, and I'm just going to indicate that. Make sure I get the shape. Now I love the way this model's nose is, especially at the bridge. It's very interesting. I want to make sure I capture what interests me in a portrait. Well, even though this is a figure painting, it's a nude, I treat the face as a portrait. I know it's not important to look like the model because you're painting a nude, a full figure. But in my opinion, just making sure we do try and get a likeness critical in our accuracy of light and shade and color and proportion. So it's a good thing. See how you do the layers. You layer from dark to light in pastel, which is interesting because in airbrush you layer from light to dark. Different mediums has a totally different way of working. Now that could be, it is actually due to the limitations or the propensity of a particular medium. So if you're working in airbrush, if you go from dark to light, you're going to get this dreaded blue shift, which is colors become blue when you put a lighter color over a darker color. That's not fun for anybody. So either if you're on this live feed now and you could use the chat, that would be cool. If not, when I put this on my video feed, do me a favor, let me know what you think of the live feeds. Do you like it? I mean, is it helpful to you? I love to hear, because I want to do the best job I can for everybody. So I used to do these when I used to commute back and forth to my job in pretty much in New York City, back Jersey City, New Jersey, same difference. And I used to take the train, and I used to do these Train Girl series, which was these portraits that I did in graphite or pencil on tinted paper with white pastel. And it really gave me, working like a half hour a day, every single day, it really gave me a good insight onto how to use pastel and how to model the form in a portrait. So if you just work, let's say, a couple of minutes a day, every day, like that's your clock, like clockwork, whether you have a couple of hours before work or you're commuting, mass transit, of course, not driving. If you have that would be a great time to go ahead and use those hours during the week to just continue working. When you continuously work and it is scheduled, you will get better at whatever you're doing. You will have a stronger knowledge as to how to approach certain aspects of your art. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a clean triangle. These are foam core, and I love using them. What I do is I use very thin foam core, then I peel off the paper on the outside, and I'm left with this sort of soft cardboard type of material, and I'm able to load pastel onto it. I'm writing an ebook. It should be ready shortly on this technique, and then there's going to be a regular book, of course. My technique of pastels came out of a need. I was a trained oil painter, and just going in with these big fat pastel sticks to try and go in there. You can, and I'm not saying anything against it, but I don't know about you, but I feel so much more comfortable going in with this little triangle point, and I get to mix the color as well. So it's just advantageous all around. Remember, when you find a better way, you get an edge on your competition. And when you try and do things another artist's way that doesn't fit you, you're just giving them the edge. Why do that? Like in sports, I played sports in high school, a little bit in college. You want to make sure that if someone has an edge over you, take it away. Just working on the hairline there. Now, also I see there's this, it's not really black, it's sort of like a dark gray color here. And I'm going to give the hair volume by not making it totally black. There we go. And then I can go ahead, once I put in the grayer colors, the lighter colors, when I go and I put in that black accent, it's just going to pop. And that's what you want. You don't want the hair to just be this big old shape of dark. You want the hair to have volume. You want the shadows in the hair to have some whispering details. See, in the light, it's sort of like, this is loud details, but in the shadows are whispering details. But that's what gives it the realism and makes it pop out. Now, I'm definitely not saying to make it up. Look and see if you can see those whispering details. Only after you do the large shapes first, of course. Definitely don't want you to see all the little details while you're working in the beginning. You want the large shapes because the large shapes are going to help you with proportions and seeing the big picture and then going in with details. When I lightened it up here, then I'm going to go darker, of course. And I'm just going to come right over here and check on my live feed here, just making sure that I'm doing right by everybody, that you all see it, and because I'm sort of a one-man band right now as far as this live feed, but I really enjoy doing these. And then, even if you're not here right now at 7:55 Eastern Time and you're seeing it later, how are you? Drop me a comment that you enjoyed it. Love to hear from everybody. And subscribe. And the good thing is, when you subscribe to my channel, you'll be alerted as to when I'm having live feeds. So if, let's say you're in the UK or something and you're like, hey Tim, I would love to have a live feed at this time, let me know, and then I'll make sure I do a live feed at that time for you. I also do some live feeds on Facebook. I used to do them every week and I stopped because it got too much, but I think I'm going to do one every now and then on Facebook. So if you subscribe, this way you'll be alerted to that as well. When this video does go live, I'll put a link in the description field for the supplies that I'm using, the pastels that I like. This way you'll be able to purchase them. And of course it's on Amazon, and when you do click the links in the description that I put there, then I get a very small, teeny tiny commission. But more importantly, I'm just glad that I tried this over the years. I tried these pastels. So I can tell you what is you know, not the best, and you're getting gorged with prices. So I don't like that at all. If I see products like that. For me, the best pastel lines are the ones that are versatile, that you could use in the early stages and then later stages of a pastel painting. Um, Pastels that are way too soft and you can only use them at the very last moment. I'm not a big fan of those pastels. You do need them, but you only need them for, let's say, dark accents or light accents. You don't need a big buttery, you know, purple color. I'm sorry, you don't need that color. You build that up as you go on, but you can use, let's say, a sennelier or a schminky pastels at the very last moment to get that really thick highlight. That's fine. They're great for that. But as far as having a whole set, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see how that would be a smart use of your resources as far as, you know, pastels are expensive. I'd rather you get a full line of, let's say, Holbeins, or a full line of Winsor & Newton makes incredible pastels. Oh my God, I love them. But my favorite line is definitely Holbein. They're right in the middle, not too hard, not too soft. Incredible pigment load. I can't say enough about them. That should be your number one pastel, meaning that's the one you have the full set of, and then you build from there. Whatever you do, do not start with a full set of sennelier. Number one, you'll be broke. If you're that rich, God bless you. But the full set of Holbeins, I think it's under $200, and you'll be just fine with that. So I don't know if you can see. So basically, I'm coming in to work on the bottom part of the hair, which is interesting because not only is it interesting with you have some little light areas here, little hairs, but then we're going to realize that we have some contours here with the hair, and you have to shape the hair. That sort of thing makes it a little more complicated, but I know you you guys and girls could follow along. So I'm just going to refresh here and see if I can see the live feed. I don't know where. Oh, you know what? It actually is in the live feed section. When I see it, I want to see it too. I want to make sure that everything is clear. So here I'm using Pitt Pastel. This is a really nice gray. It looks like it's on the warm side. Anything is warm or cool. Remember, it's not that complicated. Warm goes more towards your reds, oranges, yellows. Cold color is that color mixed with, let's say, a blue and a green. So that pretty much solves that question, right? So no worries. Next time someone says, oh, it's too warm or too cold, meaning there's too much blue. If it's cold, too much red, orange, if it's too warm. And that's how you would adjust that. Not too bad, not that difficult. Okay, so I do see the live feed as well. Let's go ahead and work on the bottom part of that hair here. There we go. It's nice and beautiful. I really love doing these live feeds. A great YouTuber, her name is Vina. She's amazing, and she let me know that the live feeds are a great way to reach my audience and make my videos much more helpful to the fellow artists out there. There we go. Now I'm going to come back with a nice dark gray, and I'm going to shape these lights that I just put in. Now also I do see that towards the bottom here there's a lot of gray, dark gray, not black. So I'll make sure I'm able to put that in. And of course I'm using the foam, not the foam core. I cut them into triangles because a triangle is a much better shape to give you versatility of edges from more broad strokes to very tight points. Just pulling that up here. What I like to do is when I do resolve the background and really refine the outer contour of this hair, I like to come in with a liner brush, very thin brush, with maybe some pastel, water it down, add some water to it, and just go ahead and put in these little wispy hairs here to give it a real feel of hair in the wind, and also working on the edges. There we go. Same thing here with the little eyelashes here. It's not black. They are very light gray color. So I want to make sure that I go ahead and indicate that. Very important. So like I said, this is probably a schminky white here. It's a very, very thick, covering opaque white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this triangle here by cutting it, getting rid of the color that was there. It's like cleaning your brush, but 150 times easier. Coming in with this much thicker, more opaque pastel, it covers better than, let's say, the Holbein. So it does its job. But that's only in the very late stages, such as this particular passage, which is the portrait in this figure painting. I wouldn't come in with that over here because I haven't really resolved as much as I did with the hair. So you have to wait and be patient. And even you can do this, like I said, doing this technique with the triangles gives you advantages, but you still want to go ahead and be able to use the actual pastel as well when needed, because sometimes you have to get that thick opacity to really paint what you're seeing. See that? Now Harvey taught me to definitely be able and feel comfortable doing this stipple effect. Just dot it. There we go. Now let's calm that down with the edges. When you have these triangles and you load it with pastel, make sure you do maybe 3, at most 4 strokes, and then reload it. Because what you'll do is you'll just start blending it in. And when you start blending in colors, what happens? Just the science of colors. You just keep blending, blending. Eventually you're going to end up with a gray mess. And who wants to see a gray mess in a portrait? I know I don't. Later this week I'm going to do a full-length video. Well, I'll say full-length, but just a very edited, just a little lecture demo of my methods in drawing the portrait. And the same principles of drawing and painting should be actually the same. The only difference is in drawing you're not doing the hue, but everything else, value, color, value, line, contour, edges, all those things should be addressed in both. Anybody who is painting, it's so crucial that they draw all the time. You know what? Drawing is going to help your painting, but painting isn't necessarily going to help your drawing. So those of you who paint, and when you hear people with their false bravado, they don't draw, you really have to draw. I mean, it's just going to help your work. And you know, the great thing about drawing, you could just pull it up, right? Like, boom, there you are. Okay, I'm drawing. No matter where you are, you can go ahead and just start drawing. That's the great advantage of drawing that painting doesn't have. So I'm really just enjoying this. So that's just like my morning peek that, you know, then you guys, girls, peek into my studio. Today, 6:28. I really enjoyed it today. I don't want it to be too long, but send me a message. Let me know what you're working on. If you're working on pastel, let me know what your favorite pastel brand is and why. What do you use? Pastel pencils? Do you use other pastel brands, and why? Do you like pastel? You don't like pastel? I love to hear from you. Very important to me. So maybe I'll come back on later today, but I hope to see you. And tonight I'll be on Facebook, and that would be Timothy John Luke Smith PSA on Facebook. So hope you guys have a good morning. You guys in the UK have a good evening, and in Asia as well. It's great talking with you.